Alright, real briefly I'm going to explain why some of these videos have not been uploading. There has been a problem with my connections, also a problem with my old phone. So, you missed out on a lot of videos, guys. I'm sorry. The old phone just died. So, today we're talking about a 1986 Monte Carlo. More specifically, recovering this right here. So, I looked at this and I said, well, that looks a lot like Hitem, a product that we put on boats. This is the profile. Let me get it closer so you can see. Okay, that's the profile. And you would think, so when we open this up, we could have a channel there to shoot staples into. No such luck on this right here. Alright, the proper way to take these off is using a pry tool, a lot like this one here. And you're going to gently pry right here. I'm going to pry that up. And gently lift up the back as you're doing it. It's a two-step process. Me, I had to use now if you can see, the drill holes where the rivets were have already been popped out. I'm going to show you this right here. This right here is the receiver for that plastic piece. Just inside of that plastic piece there are two little extensions on the inside. One of them is already broke. So once I got that all apart, I drilled out the pop rivets. I had to be very patient with it. Sometimes the pop rivets were actually spinning. Sometimes the pop rivets were spinning. So I had to go around to the back side with a pair of needle nose pliers and isolate the back side so it wouldn't spin. Another way to do that is while you're drilling, you can angle that drill off to the side and continue to let the drill do its work as the pop rivet spins, and eventually that collar will pop off. These right here are going to have to be saved, and the reason being is because these holes are too big for 3/16 pop rivets. There is a certain length on those pop rivets, and once everything is all put together, you'll have to use those collars on the front side. Pop rivets will go in from the back side. Okay, so once that's done, then you can get these pieces off. Work with me here. Chew your food. Okay, now, as I said before, this actually does look like Hitem. It behaves like it, but it is glued down. So their seam is underneath this. My seam where I have made the cuts is right here. Alright, so you're going to peel that off. If you're unable to get it, take a pair of needle nose pliers and start rolling it off just like this. Once you get to the end and you've got enough that you can hold on to, peel it off the rest of the way. And yes, it's going to be difficult, and yes, it may leave some residue behind, but the whole thing is that you're going to need this channel right here. There's a lip on this side, there's a lip on this side, and it's just deep enough. Stand by here just a minute. I'm going to get the rest of this thing off here. It's really glued down hard. Okay, now that that's off, What we're going to do is we're going to open this up and lay it out to these dimensions. Lay it flat out on this, on your new material that you're going to use, which is going to be vinyl, hopefully. You don't want to be too adventurous with cloth. Cloth doesn't stretch like vinyl does. Alright, so you're going to get this measurement. And I cannot find my marking device. Anyway, we'll just do it on the table here. You're going to get this measurement, spreading it from here to here. And then once you get those two, then you're going to take the distance between here and here and add a 1/2 inch to each side. So add 1 inch. The reason I say that is because you're going to go ahead and do your top stitching first. You're going to take two pieces of material, you're going to lay them together face to face. Then you're going to put them face to face like this, and then you're going to sew them together. Then you're going to open it up, and then you're going to do your top stitch. Your top stitch is going to look like this right here. Alright? While it's inside out, you're going to sew this back seam together. And then you're going to take something like this right here. This is Keter Welt tape right here. It was inside when I sewed it together, and I used this to literally pull it this way as the cover itself turned itself inside out. After that, you're going to take your file and you're going to take and round these two right here. After they have been rounded, I'm going to be completely transparent with you. You're going to need 2 people. I would suggest taking this other hole on the far side right here, locking it down to the table with a screw. That way, when you get ready to pull this on, you're going to be coming towards the screw, and you're going to grab a pair of needle nose pliers. Right now, this thing is so tight, it doesn't want to go on. I'm going to get some dish soap. Don't use Vaseline. The reason I say that is because if you'll look down inside here, let me show you something real quick. Remember that channel that I told you about right here? It's just wide enough, and you'll have to make sure that it's just wide enough to accept the selvage. If you can see that inside there. Wish I could find that other piece that I had cut away. But anyway, you can see that is material, and that is the edge on one side, that's the edge on the other side. So where the white and the black meet, and on the other side where the white and the black meet there. Okay, try your best to make these line up with each other. These holes where I'm showing you, the old one was done with a double needle machine. I only have a single needle machine, so I had to be very patient. I also have to use a modified foot for my machine. This foot right here is spring loaded. You can see how it moves up. This part right here stays in the seam and keeps the exact distance from the center of the seam to where it lands here. So it rides in the seam, and as you're sewing, you're going to be going along this way. And make sure that I'm in frame here before I can show you. So as you're sewing, it's going to establish a certain distance away from that center seam. Then when you get to the edge, turn it around and go up the other side using a foot like this right here. All right. Now, if you've made it to this point, you're braver than I thought. We have locked it down here. This is our selvage edge, our bad side. Don't want to do it with our good side. We're going to be pulling with a pair of pliers once this gets on. Last time I used something called a bodkin. Let me show you what this is. This bodkin helps me do a lot of things. On one end of the coat hanger, you can see it has a hook, but the hook has a final turn just to the left of my thumbnail. Right there, that final turn right there, because it's going to lock in and clamp down on this part right here. I'm going to fish it up through this. Stand by. I have fished it up through there with the selvage edge. Get this thing to cooperate here. And then I'm going to hook this into here. Then I'm going to clamp it down. Then, while my partner is pulling on this part over here, that part, to keep everything tight, I am going to be pulling this other part down this way. But first I'm going to go get some soap on my hands, and I'm going to get this real slippery. Alright, I'm going to put this down. Alright, now at this point we're going to go ahead and slather this up with some dish soap. Get you a wet paper towel. Don't wring it out all the way because you're going to have to wipe your hands off. So let's get started. Now this little operation tasks me to no end, but it is done. Now, it was made longer deliberately, so we're going to have to go in here and carefully release the thread so that we can tie it back. And then we'll cut the excess material away. Be sure to dig out your thread using... Hang on a second. Alright, what I was going to show you actually rolled off the table and I can't find it now. So anyway, this is a seam ripper. Be careful because on the inside here is a blade. Alright, so you're going to be using this right here to dig out your thread. So I'm waiting for this thing to focus. Any day now. Never use cheap cameras, guys. Alright, gotta love technology. Anyway, so what we're wanting to do is we are wanting to dig out the thread. This is the way you do it, right here. What we're trying to do is open this up to the point to where we're going to cut it back, and I'm just about there. Alright, so what about the other side? Okay, so I used red so I could see it. Now we're going to go in and we're going to retrieve the red. There she is. I'm trying not to cut it. Alright. So we're going to be cutting back to this point right here. What we're going to do is we're going to be tying off at this point. Next, we have to go and retrieve the thread out of all this. And we're going to stop right here at this point, and we're going to tie off on those. Stand by. Alright, so now that I got this piece released, I wanted to show you what I meant earlier. Just line it up in the way that you would see it in the sewing machine. So you're going to be sewing this up right here. This had 1/4 of an inch cut off of it on this side, but this was one long strip. So we sewed it down, then we turned it, flattened out the salvage edge, top stitched it, then closed it up inside out. At the very end, we got a piece of this that was long enough to go all the way through it. We sewed this down right along here, and then immediately turned on a 90-degree angle and started sewing this up. But this tape was on the inside, so that when we got ready to, we could use this tape and pull on it and cause it to turn inside on itself, so it will make that long sleeve. So here is the long sleeve. It's all taken care of and all tied off on both sides. All we got to do now is to make sure that that fabric is down inside there. Put it on there, put our pop rivets back in it, and then pop rivet back to the door panel. And then we have, of course, have to take the old door panel cover material off. And I'm going to show you what it looks like before. This is a very, very old door panel. 1986. Never been touched. It's gone. We're going to take that off of there. Alright, now if you've been paying attention, you would know that I was showing you the passenger side. I'm going to show you what the finished driver's side looks like. When she's all done, that's what she looks like. Everything's all nice and tidy. Even the carpet down here has been updated to match the interior carpet here. Let me show you the seats. I still have to put a heat gun right there and take some of those wrinkles out. The back quarter panels have to be updated as well, but the back seat matches the front seat. And that's what she looks like. Thanks guys for sticking with me and watching the video.